I never thought I'd say this out loud, but here goes. I don't trust widows. Or at least, I don't trust the widow. Her name's Vanessa, and until a week ago, she was married to my older brother, Jesse. Jesse was my blood. He wasn't perfect. Hell, he had a mean streak, but he was my only real family left. When he died in a car accident last Tuesday night, I thought the worst part of it all would be burying him. I was wrong. The worst part came the next morning. I'd spent the night on Jesse's front porch. I didn't mean to. I had dropped by to check on his wife, bring her food, help with the arrangements. But she never answered the door, and my key didn't work. Not anymore. It wasn't until the next morning that I realized something was off. I'd dozed off in my truck with the engine running, and when I came to, I saw a U-Haul parked in the driveway. At first, I figured it was hers, maybe some relatives coming to help. But then I saw her. Not grieving, not in tears, not even in black. She was in workout clothes, hair tied back, holding a clipboard, and giving orders. I stepped out of the truck, dazed, still wearing the same shirt I'd worn to the hospital the night Jesse died. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept. But I knew enough to know this. Something was very wrong. Vanessa saw me. Didn't flinch. Didn't even fake a tear. "Oh, you're still here," she said, sipping from a cup of cold brew like we were in a Starbucks line. "Thought you would have gone back to your little basement by now." My mouth went dry. Why the hell is there a moving truck in Jesse's driveway? "Our driveway," she corrected. "And they're here for me. I'm moving my mother in. And Jenna, she's got a baby on the way." I blinked. "Jenna? My cousin. Your cousin you haven't spoken to in 3 years?" She didn't answer. Just looked down at her clipboard again. "The house is mine now, Owen. I'd appreciate it if you didn't make this more dramatic than it already is." This house wasn't just any house. It had been in our family since before Jesse and I were born. Our grandfather built it with his own hands after the war. It had a name, Hollow Oak Ranch. And Jesse and I had spent every summer of our childhood here. Our initials were still carved into the old sycamore out back. "I don't remember Jesse putting you on the deed," I said carefully. "Oh, honey," she laughed, "he didn't. But Jesse didn't have a will, and I was his wife. This whole property goes to me now. You really should learn how probate works." She said it like she was giving me a TED Talk. I felt the blood in my ears start to boil. "So you changed the locks?" "First thing this morning. You left your key under the mat, right? That's how I knew. You're a real piece of work, you know that?" Her eyes narrowed. "I'm a widow, Owen. Have some respect." "No. You're a squatter with a death certificate and a clipboard." That was the last thing I said before her mother came waddling through the front door in a full fur coat and slippers, holding a decorative owl statue. "Where should I put the birds, sweetie?" she asked Vanessa. I turned and walked back to my truck. I didn't say another word. But inside, something cold clicked into place. She thought she won. She didn't know what I knew. And that was going to cost her everything. I didn't go home that day. I drove. Not anywhere specific, just away. I needed distance. Space to think. If I'd stayed, I don't know what I would have done. Punch a hole through Jesse's window? Smash that tacky owl statue? No, I needed to be smart. Vanessa was counting on me losing it. On me being some small-town idiot with too many emotions and not enough sense. She was probably expecting tears, begging, maybe even a police call when I refused to leave. That's why I didn't give her anything. I gave her silence. And then I called Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein wasn't just Jesse's attorney. He was ours. He'd been handling our family's affairs since we were kids. Helped my parents draft their will. Helped Jesse finalize the transfer of the property when Dad died. The man was old, slow, and crusty as stale toast, but he knew everything. When he picked up the phone, I didn't even say hello. "She's moved people into the house," I said. "She changed the locks." A pause, then the rustle of paper. "Well," he finally said, "that was faster than I thought. You knew she'd do this?" I had my suspicions. Jesse told me she had big plans once she got her hands on Hollow Oak. "You said he didn't leave a will." "No," Klein replied. "I said he didn't leave her a will." Turns out Jesse wasn't as blind as I thought. 3 years ago, just before our dad passed, Jesse called Klein behind Vanessa's back and had a new will drawn up. One she never knew about. In it, he left the house, our family home, not to her, but to me. Specifically, Hollow Oak Ranch and all associated property and structures are to be transferred to Owen Martin upon my death, to preserve our family legacy and maintain its integrity. Klein emailed me a scanned copy. I read it 10 times. I couldn't believe it. You're telling me, I asked slowly, she has no claim? Legally? She's entitled to Jesse's bank accounts, some personal assets, and maybe a car. But the property? She's got nothing. So why hasn't anyone enforced it? She filed for emergency occupancy the day after he died. Claimed she had no place else to go. You'll need to contest it before probate finalizes. And how long do I have? About a week. That night, I drove back to town. I didn't go near the house, no reason to. Instead, I slept in my truck again. The passenger seat was reclined just enough that my spine felt like a question mark by morning. But I didn't care. I had something Vanessa didn't: leverage. She thought she could stomp in, take over, bully me into silence. And for a second, she almost did. But she'd build her whole castle out of lies, one call to the courthouse, and it would all come crashing down. Still, I needed more than a legal edge. I needed a plan. I spent the next 2 days doing recon. Vanessa was too busy playing Queen of Hollow Oak to notice me lurking around town. But I saw everything. I watched her laugh it up with realtors. Saw her listing the barn as an event venue online. I even overheard her talking about listing Jesse's workshop on Airbnb for romantic weekends. It made me sick. Worse? She was throwing out our family's things. My granddad's tools. My mom's photo albums. Hell, even Jesse's old baseball glove was sitting in the trash bin behind the house, soaked in rainwater. That was the last straw. She wanted to erase us. I was going to erase her first. I met with Klein on Friday. He was slower than usual, arthritis acting up, but he handed me the paperwork with a surprisingly strong grip. Once you file this, he warned, there's no going back. You're challenging a grieving widow in probate court. She's about as grieving as a crocodile, I muttered. Let's do it. By Monday, the motion was filed. I got the official stamp and everything, but I didn't call Vanessa. I didn't send a warning. I waited, because I knew something she didn't. On Thursday, she had an open house scheduled. She was planning to sell the home she didn't even own, and I planned to ruin it, spectacularly. Thursday morning, I shaved, put on my best flannel and work boots, drove to Hollow Oak like I hadn't already spent half the week circling it like a hawk. When I arrived, the driveway was full of SUVs and fancy sedans. A little sign by the mailbox read, "Open house, your dream ranch awaits." I walked right past it and up the porch steps. Vanessa answered the door with a wide fake smile, then nearly choked when she saw it was me. "You can't be here," she hissed, stepping in front of the doorway. "Wrong," I said, flashing the document Klein had notarized. "Actually, I can." "What is this?" "That, sweetheart, is a challenge to your claim. Which means until probate court rules, you have no right to sell, rent, or move anyone into this property. Get out," she snapped. "You're embarrassing yourself." "No," I said, stepping past her. "I'm embarrassing you." The guests were gathered in the living room, some sipping wine, others admiring the fireplace Vanessa had redecorated in hideous gold trim. I stepped into the middle of the room, cleared my throat, and raised my voice. "Folks, just a quick announcement. This property is under legal dispute. Any sale or rental arrangement made today is null and void. Court hearings next Thursday. I suggest holding off until then." Vanessa lunged for me. "You need to leave. Now." "Funny," I said, holding up the paperwork again. "That's exactly what the court's going to tell you." She lost it. In front of half the town, Vanessa started screaming. Called me a liar. A parasite. A leech who fed off her dead husband. She threw a wine glass at my boots. Told everyone I was the estranged brother Jesse hated. And then one of the guests, the town's only judge, no less, spoke up. "Actually," she said, sipping her Merlot, "I officiated Jesse's will transfer 3 years ago. It's notarized and filed. He loved that property." Silence fell. Vanessa's face turned white. She turned, walked out the door, and slammed it shut behind her. I didn't follow her. I didn't need to. She finally knew. She wasn't the queen of anything. She was a trespasser. And I was coming for everything. You ever watch someone fall apart in real time? I mean really fall apart, where every lie they told themselves suddenly shatters, and all that's left is a bitter, shaking mess? That's what happened to Vanessa after the open house disaster. And I got to watch every second. 2 hours after I ruined her little real estate show, she came knocking at my apartment door. No warning. No text. No pretending to be civil. I opened the door to find her standing there, eyeliner streaked, wine breath strong enough to knock a raccoon out cold. "You smug son of a bitch," she slurred. "Evening to you too," I said calmly. "You think you've won, don't you? You think Jesse would have wanted you squatting in his house like some overgrown hillbilly?" You mean the house I legally own? I asked, stepping outside to block her from looking into my place. That one. You don't get it, she growled. That house was my life. Our life. Our dream. No. You were a guest in a house Jesse never intended to share permanently. And you overstayed your welcome. She laughed bitterly. And you think that Dusty Will's going to hold up in court? Newsflash, Owen. I was his wife. Judges don't care about brothers. They care about widows. Oh, I know, I said. That's why I brought backup. Her eyes narrowed. What backup? Let me back up. Because while she was busy pretending to be a victim, I'd been doing something she hadn't counted on. Talking to Jesse's ex. Her name's Mia. High school sweetheart. The woman Jesse was with for almost a decade before he met Vanessa. They never married, but they stayed friends. Quietly. Turns out Jesse had a storage unit Vanessa didn't know about. In it? Everything from his handwritten journals to copies of text messages and photos. Mia had been helping him organize it all the year before he died. Jesse always told me, Mia had said when I met her at a diner, if anything happened to him, and Vanessa tried to pull something shady, he wanted you to have this. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside? A handwritten letter from Jesse, dated just months before his accident. It wasn't a legal document. Not exactly. But it was personal. Painfully so. In Jesse's own words, he described how Vanessa had tried to pressure him into selling Hollow Oak. How she'd mocked our family traditions. How she wanted to tear down the barn to build a yoga studio and rent out the front porch for influencer photo shoots. She sees it as property, Jesse wrote. But to me and Owen, it's blood and bone. She doesn't understand that. Never did. He ended it with this. If you're reading this, I'm probably gone. And if Vanessa is standing in that house acting like it's hers, remind her it's not. Remind her she's just a page in the story. But you and I? We're the authors. I didn't cry reading it. I just clenched my jaw so tight I felt my molars pop. So I brought the letter with me to court. But before the hearing, I sent Vanessa a copy. Certified mail. Signed delivery. So when she showed up at my apartment all boozy and trembling, I knew exactly why. You think Jesse loved you more than me? She hissed. You think that letter means anything? I think Jesse made himself pretty clear. Then why didn't he tell me he changed the will? Because he knew how you'd react. She stepped forward like she wanted to hit me. I didn't flinch. You changed him, she growled. He started acting different the year before he died. Kept pulling away. No, I said coldly. He just started seeing you clearly. That shut her up. For once. I didn't press charges for trespassing or harassment. Not yet. But I did file a restraining order. The day of the court hearing came fast. Vanessa showed up dressed like a grieving widow straight out of a soap opera, black lace, fake tears, the works. Her lawyer tried to argue spousal equity, but the judge shut that down fast. Miss Gordon, he said, you have no legal documentation proving shared ownership, financial investment, or intent to inherit Hollow Oak Ranch. The will is clear. The property goes to Owen Martin. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat down, lips trembling, face frozen like she'd just been hit by a truck made of bricks and truth. I didn't smile, but I wanted to. After court, I drove back to Hollow Oak. Alone. It was quiet again. No more yoga mats. No fake cousins. No all statues in the kitchen. Just the creak of the wooden porch and the hum of cicadas in the trees. It felt like the house itself had been holding its breath the last few weeks. And finally exhaled. I stepped inside and sat down in Jesse's old armchair. I ran my fingers across the leather. Then I whispered, I got it back, brother. I got it all back. But don't get too comfortable. Because what Vanessa did next? That was the part no one saw coming. For 3 glorious weeks after the court ruled in my favor, everything was calm. Too calm. The house felt like it was healing. The room stopped echoing Vanessa's footsteps. The fridge no longer reeked of her essential oil meal prep. I lit a fire in the hearth Jesse and I rebuilt 2 summers ago. I slept on the couch in the living room just to feel close to him. But in the back of my mind, I knew peace wasn't permanent. Not with someone like her. And just when I started to believe she was done, she came back. It started with the calls. Unknown numbers. Voicemails with nothing but breathing. Hang-ups at 2 a.m. I blocked them one by one, but they kept coming like her entire contact list had been weaponized. Then came the packages. I'd find them on the porch every morning. Manila envelopes stuffed with evidence of her supposed stake in the property. Jesse's name on old utility bills. Photos of them on the porch. A receipt from a Lowe's purchase for joint home improvement. She even left a copy of their wedding certificate circled in red ink. Like that was supposed to erase the court order I had framed on the damn mantle. Then came the Facebook posts. Vanessa wasn't subtle. She tagged Jesse's old friends, her family, and even some of mine. Claimed I stole the house while she was grieving. Accused me of bullying a widow, of forging documents, of having an unhealthy obsession with Jesse's memory. One post ended with, "Owen never respected our marriage. He just wanted Jesse all to himself." It went viral. Not millions of views viral, but just enough that people in town started whispering. I walked into the hardware store, and the old guy behind the counter asked if I'd really thrown the widow out barefoot. It didn't matter that I'd won in court. She was waging war in the court of public opinion now. And it was working. I knew what she was trying to do. Isolate me. Embarrass me. Make me question whether it was worth holding on to a house tied to so much pain. But I didn't budge. You don't get to erase a legacy because you think you look good in black lace and a pity filter. So I fought back. I sent a cease and desist through Klein's office. Publicly posted a scan of the court ruling on Jesse's memorial page with a caption that simply read, "Truth doesn't need defending, but Jesse deserves it anyway." The likes poured in. The comments exploded. Half of town turned on her. And that's when she lost it. Saturday night, I came home from dinner with Mia. Yes, we'd been seeing each other more, and found a rock sitting on my porch. A rock that hadn't been there when I left. Wrapped around it was a strip of paper, torn from one of Jesse's journals. On it, in thick Sharpie, "You took him from me. I'll take what's left." I froze. Every hair on my arm stood straight up. I scanned the tree line, the fence, the shadows near the barn. Nothing. No footprints. No taillights. Just that rock. And the message that changed everything. I installed cameras the next morning. Every window. Every entry point. I even added motion sensors to the gates and floodlights around the back porch. The town sheriff, a family friend, dropped by personally when I called about the threat. He took one look at the paper and said, "She's escalating." I nodded. "She's unraveling. Unraveling people do desperate things," he warned. "Keep your doors locked." He didn't have to tell me twice. I locked everything. Kept a baseball bat next to my bed. Slept with my boots on for 2 nights straight. But it wasn't enough. Because on Monday, she broke in. It was 2:13 a.m. I know that because I heard the alert ping on my phone and sat bolt upright, heart pounding, before the second one even came through. Back porch motion detected. Then, side entrance. Door ajar. I reached for the bat and the phone at the same time. Pulled up the camera feed. And there she was. Vanessa. In a black hoodie and flip-flops. Carrying a plastic tote full of God knows what. She moved through the backyard like she belonged there. But I could see it in her eyes. She was manic. Unhinged. She looked like a woman on the edge of snapping the last piece of her soul in half. And then she started pouring something onto the porch. I zoomed in. Lighter fluid. I didn't wait to confront her. I didn't yell or rush the door. I called the sheriff's cell directly and whispered, "She's here. She's trying to burn the house." He said 2 words, "Stay inside." Then the line went dead. 5 minutes felt like 50. I watched as Vanessa lit a match. Held it over the soaked wood. Then dropped it. Flames shot up instantly, licking the air and catching on the hem of her hoodie. She screamed. Slapped at herself. Stumbled backward off the porch and hit the ground, just as the sheriff's cruiser flew down the gravel road behind her. Lights. Sirens. Shouting. I opened the door slowly and walked out. Vanessa was writhing in the dirt, trying to crawl away like a wounded animal. I looked down at her and said, "Jesse always said you'd burn this place down one day." They took her away in cuffs. Charged her with arson, trespassing, and violation of the restraining order. I filed an emergency restraining upgrade the next day. Now she's barred from coming within 300 yards of me or the property. The damage to the porch was minimal, but the damage to her reputation? Permanent. For the first time since Jesse died, I felt peace return to the land. The sycamore outside stood tall, untouched. The barn still smelled like cedar. His old dog tags hung on the mantle. I protected it, not just from Vanessa, from decay, from the erasure of what Jesse and I built, what 3 generations of us preserved with our hands and our hearts. But just when I thought it was over, one more letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a copy of Jesse's death certificate. And a DNA test. Not mine, not Jesse's, but someone who claimed to be Jesse's son. When I first opened the envelope, I thought it was a joke. Some last-ditch effort by Vanessa to stay relevant. Another one of her messy tantrums delivered through certified mail. But then I saw the document. A DNA test. Signed, notarized, and shockingly legitimate looking. 2 names. 2 profiles. 1 match. Jesse Martin, my brother. Aiden Jameson, age 17. 99.997% probability of paternity. And written in bold letters across the bottom. My name is Aiden. Jesse was my father. I want to meet you. I sat on the porch with that letter for over an hour, staring out at the tree line. The same porch Vanessa nearly burned to the ground. The same house Jesse and I had grown up in. No secrets between us. Or so I thought. He never told me. Never hinted. Never even slipped. Jesse had a son? And he never said a damn word? I called Mia. I don't know why. Maybe because she was the only person who hadn't betrayed me. Maybe because she always knew Jesse better than he knew himself. I read her the letter. There was silence for a long moment. Then, Aiden Jameson? You know him? No, she said. But Jesse once told me about a woman named Claire. They dated years before Vanessa. Didn't end well. She left town, pregnant, I think. You think? He wasn't sure. They lost touch. He never got a paternity test. He always wondered, but he said Claire made it clear she didn't want him involved. And now the kid's reaching out. After Jesse's dead, Mia added. Convenient. I hung up with more questions than answers. That night, I Googled the name, Aiden Jameson. Found him easily. High school junior. Track team. Good grades. Lives 3 hours north. And in every picture I could find, there was Jesse's smirk. His eyes. The stubborn tilt of his jaw when he was trying to act tough. This kid wasn't lying. He was Jesse's. Which meant, in some strange way, he was family. I debated for days. What was I supposed to do? Invite him down for a weekend of trauma bonding and treehouse tours? Take him fishing where Jesse used to smoke weed behind the reeds? But I couldn't ignore it. So I called the number written at the bottom of the letter. He picked up on the second ring. Hello. His voice was younger than I expected. Nervous. But there was that same gravel in it Jesse had at that age. This is Owen Martin, I said. Jesse's brother. There was a long pause. Then, I didn't think you'd actually call. We met the next weekend. I told him to come alone. No Claire. No Vanessa, God forbid she somehow got wind of this. Just him and me. He showed up in a beat-up Civic, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking like he didn't know whether to run or hug me. I didn't hug him. Not yet. We just stood there on the porch, awkward as hell, until I gestured for him to follow me out back. We sat by the sycamore. And I asked him everything. Turns out Claire had told him when he turned 16. Told him who his real father was. Told him Jesse was dead. And told him nothing else. So Aiden did what any curious kid would do. He searched. He found Jesse's obituary. Saw photos. Articles. Saw the drama with Vanessa. The court case. Me. And he hesitated for months. Until now. He handed me the original copy of the DNA test. She helped me get it, he said. My mom, I mean. But she wanted it kept quiet. She still doesn't want anything from you. Then why'd you send this? Because I wanted to know, he said. I wanted to see where I came from. He wasn't asking for money. Wasn't asking for keys. Wasn't asking for a place to stay, or a cut of the property, or Jesse's belongings. He just wanted to sit in his father's chair. To touch the fence Jesse had built. To walk through the fields his blood came from. And God help me. I let him. We spent the weekend walking the grounds. I showed him the treehouse. The workshop. The photos Jesse kept hidden in an old cigar box. We didn't say much. We didn't have to. Grief doesn't need words. It just needs presence. He left Sunday night. But before he did, he turned to me and said, Thank you for not slamming the door. I just nodded. You're Jesse's. That makes you mine too. A week passed. Then another. And just when I thought it was truly over, Vanessa struck one last time. She filed an appeal. Claimed Aiden was the true heir to Jesse's estate. Said the house should go to him. Not me. Because I wasn't Jesse's son. He was. And she had just enough of a legal angle to make it stick. It went to court. Again. Klein was furious. This is harassment, he growled. She's using a child to claw back something she already lost. But I didn't see Aiden in court. He wasn't behind it. Claire had nothing to do with it either. This was all Vanessa. She'd gotten her hands on the DNA results and twisted it into a final desperate ploy. Tried to make herself the martyr again, standing up for Jesse's legacy. But the judge had seen enough. This time, the ruling was swift. Parental rights do not supersede a clearly designated will. The property remains with Owen Martin. This court will consider any further actions from the petitioner as malicious prosecution. Boom. Case closed. And this time, permanently. Vanessa finally disappeared after that. Maybe she moved. Maybe she snapped. Maybe she went off to scam some other poor soul. I don't care. She's gone. The house is safe. Aiden visits once a month now. Helps with the barn. Mows the lawn. Stays for dinner. Mia joins us sometimes too. No drama. No cameras. Just peace. And when we sit on the porch now, we don't talk about fire or courtrooms or crazy exes. We just talk about Jesse, the man we both loved, and the house he left behind, that we finally made into a home.